Always good to be in Miami. It is June and it's cooking outside, but we're indoors. Welcome to Marlins Park. The Rockies will take on the Fish over the next 4 days. In fact, last year they opened the season in South Florida playing a 4-game set. You can see in the background, David Phelps is on the hill. This is a rematch of what we saw last Saturday. Phelps against Russin, and it was a knockout for the Rockies. They really beat up David Phelps. Charlie Blackmon has swung it well in his career against David Phelps, and he is swinging the bat well overall. Here's the Southwest batting order for Walt Weiss this evening, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. DJ LeMahieu, third in the league at .348. Tulowitzki's really come up. He's at .311. Cargo up to .251. They are cooking together. Nolan Arenado, one of the league leaders in RBIs. Corey Dickerson, as we mentioned, back and in the lineup. Willeen Rosario will bat seventh, play first base. Nick Hundley at even .300. And then a guy will take a good swing as a pitcher, Chris Russin. And it's the Notre Dame product, David Phelps.
And Phelps really struggled, as you mentioned, against the Rockies in his last start. 11 hits, 9 earned runs, a couple bombs included in that. And for Phelps, early on in the season, the first 7 games, 5 starts, he was 2-0 with a .290. But since then, he has not won since May 9th. 0-3 in his last 5 with a .675. This
is his third career start against the Rockies. And not only did last Saturday not go well, the other start he had against the Rockies didn't go real well. He has a 10.24 ERA against the Rockies, which is nice if you're like a 7th man in basketball. It's a good scoring average coming off the bench.
Yeah, points per game?
Yeah.
Not ERA.
No, you don't want that as your ERA. That ball was very close, but called a ball by Jim Reynolds. So it's 1-2 on Charlie Blackmon. This is a big yard.
Dead center field, it says 418, and I was chatting with Willeen Rosario today during batting practice. He said 418. He goes, it plays like it's 480.
It's really a long way, and then the wall gets taller out there in that little corner.
I'm surprised they have not moved it in yet, like they have some of the other parks, like Citi Field.
You know, we're going to be in Houston, obviously, in a few days. This ball's on the ground to Echeverria, and he throws out Charlie. Next year, they're getting rid of Tal's Hill. Did you see that?
Thank you.
They're getting rid of it.
I know, I heard. Thank you. I hated that thing.
And you never played center field there, did you?
No, I never did. But well, we'll talk about it when we get to Houston on Monday. But I still can't believe they put a hill out on a baseball field or it could injure somebody.
Yeah, well, they're finally getting rid of it. DJ LeMahieu with 1 out will step up. By the way, it's 85 degrees outside, 73 inside. So I was away for a few days, and every time, you know, I obviously keep up with the club. I talk to you, and I look at the box score, and DJ has like 7 hits every night.
Not quite that many, but in a 2-game stretch, he was 11 for 23, and everything they were throwing up there, he was hitting to right field. If they wanted to come inside, yesterday he pulled the double down the line.
Here's the 1-1, and DJ has another hit. It's amazing.
It's like a video game for him right now.
He is something else. That'll move the average up around 350. You're hitting 350 in the middle of June. Things are good.
They're real good.
Here are the gloves for the Marlins tonight. They played great defense this year. Yelich, Osuna, and Stanton in the outfield. Echeverria is one of the better shortstops in the game. Prado steady at third. Donovan Solano will get the start tonight at second base. Jeff Baker's at first, and JT Realmuto is behind the plate. Echeverria just 3 errors at shortstop.
Well, they've only made 24 errors as a club. First in baseball, as fewest amount of errors and a .989 fielding percentage.
Troy's moved that batting average up to .311 with a 9-game hitting streak in which he's hit .500. And that's in there for a strike. A ball and a strike. DJ at first. Rockies trying to get a quick jump again on David Phelps.
Well, his career ERA in the first innings 5.29. So it's not like it would be unusual if somebody jumped on him early.
Yeah, Troy wasn't in on the party against Phelps, who lasted just 3 2/3 last Saturday. Troy had the afternoon off. So this is the first time he's ever faced David Phelps.
I'm sure he got enough scouting reports from all the guys that played last Saturday and what he throws.
This is a high pop up to shallow right. Stanton coming quickly, and he's going to get there. Calls off Solano late. He had a long run. He was playing very deep. So with 2 outs, that'll bring up Cargo. Yeah, Cargo had a 3-run home run to knock David Phelps off the bump. Out to the Marlins bullpen. And then on Sunday, he hit another home run. First time this year he's hit a home run in back-to-back ball games. He has really heated up. Last 13 ball games, hitting .392. And get this, he's reached in a career-tying best 21 in a row. I was kidding him before the ball game. I said, you can look up at the scoreboard now and not wins. At 251, he said, I'm going to hit 330 this year.
I like the thought process. So, okay, it's 251. I climbed from the dredges of the 160s. Why not keep going?
2 strikes.
And they're pulling the shift on Cargo like everybody does, but now they put the third baseman, Prado, over at the second base side. Solano's the one that's deep on the grass. Echeverria, they left it short.
He went. And that'll be all for the Rockies in the first. So DJ had a 1-out hit. He's left at first base. And we'll go to the bottom of inning number 1 in South Florida. That's a piece. Mark did a little feature on that, I believe, a year or 2 ago, on the origin of that piece of artwork that is out in left center field. Danny Echeverria will lead things off, not D. Gordon. Left on left, D. Gordon getting a rare night off despite the fact that he's leading the National League in hitting. So Echeverria will be first for Dan Jennings. Their lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines as well. Martin Prado will bat second. Then Yelich, Stanton, Marcell Ozuna. He's got an 11-game hitting streak. Hit a home run in Toronto yesterday in a 7-2 defeat. Jeff Baker, JT Realmuto, Donovan Solano, and David Phelps against Chris Russin. And Russin has been a very pleasant surprise for the Rockies.
Well, he came up when it was the 26th guy the first time he came up. Did not get into the game. Since then, he's come back up and really kind of necessitated the move to send Eddie Butler back to AAA because Chris had been pitching so well. Lefty's hitting just 174 against Russin.
He gets the baseball and he pounds the strike zone. He and David Hale have been part of this resurgence for the Rockies. There's the cutter in. You'll see a lot of that. About a quarter of the time you'll see him throw that cut fastball. And Walt Weiss and the Rockies, they're saying, hey, listen, if you perform, you're going to get an opportunity to keep getting the baseball. That's why Russin's out there. It's why David Hale is now in the rotation. If you missed it a couple of days ago, Eddie Butler was sent down to Albuquerque. And we've seen Eddie pretty good at times this year. He's still working on harnessing the command. And this is a bouncing ball to second, and you have to come get it if you're DJ, and he's got such soft hands. He picks off that in-between hop, and there's one out. Let's take a look at the Rockies defensively. Charlie Blackmon's in the middle of Dickerson and Cargo. In the infield, it's Arenado and Tulowitzki naturally on the left side. They've combined for 5 errors each, 10 errors. DJ LeMahieu, Willeen Rosario on the right side. Hundley is behind the plate. Miami's 7-5 against left-handed pitching, and that's a bullet to left. And it's going to be a double for Prado. So a one-out double for Martin Prado.
Martin is a valuable piece to this puzzle for the Miami Marlins. It was supposed to be a cut fastball in, did not get on the hands enough. 11th double of the season for Prado. Corey getting over barehanded.
Test that foot right away.
Right away, because you got to plant, you got to change directions.
11 doubles for Prado. To finish my thought, they're 7-5, Huey, against southpaws. They are 17-31 against right-handed starters. So they've had more success, albeit a limited sample size, but against lefties. Christian Yelich in that 3 spot, which is kind of curious, left on left, and given the fact that he's hitting a whopping .218 right now.
And also 143 with runners in scoring position. So there's not a whole lot that says, yeah, he should be hitting third tonight. But Dan Jennings decided that's where he was going to be.
Yeah, they've been offensively challenged. Even Stanton. I mean, Stanton's leading the league in ribbies, and he has 21 home runs, but Giancarlo's average is not where you think it would be. He's hitting just .246. There he is on deck. That ball was in. So the Marlins left Denver after taking 2 of 3 from the Rockies, and they went to Rogers Center in Toronto, and they promptly got swept by the Blue Jays. Again, losing 7-2 yesterday. Tom Kohler, who the Rockies could not figure out, got beat up.
Some long home runs yesterday. Justin Smoke hit one. I was watching the game before our game yesterday, and he hit one about 5 miles or 8 kilometers, however you want to say it, because they were up in Toronto.
8 kilometers.
Is that what it translates to?
I think that was the official distance on it. 8.2 clicks. 2-1 on Yelich. And that fastball tails inside. It's 3-1. Chris brings in a 1.45 ERA. No score, bottom of the first, a 1-out double by the veteran Martin Prado. That's a strike.
You don't see that too much with a cut fastball to a left-hander. That's what that one was at 87 miles an hour.
Well, lefties are usually concerned that it'll be a barrel finder.
Right. And away from Yelich, where he likes the ball. He likes it out so he can extend the arms.
3-2, and he misses. So that will move Yelich to first, set up a force all the way around, and bring up Giancarlo Stanton. Probably woke up this morning and said, oh, man, this is the last guy I want to face. Chris Russin became the first pitcher ever to strike out Giancarlo Stanton 4 times in a game.
And the book on Stanton is try to pitch him away. He chases the ball down and away from him, but not this time. They pitched him inside, and all the strikeouts, he got 2 on changeups, 2 on cutters, and you can see him, they're down or down and in the zone, because they're the ones that are highlighted extra. 2 blues, 2 yellows, and that's where they struck out Giancarlo Stanton.
And that's ball 1. Well, now you'll see if he changes the pattern against Stanton, because you know Stanton studied all that video.
Yes, he did. And that's the games you play between hitters and pitchers. Are you going to change, or is he going to change?
Well, there's the cutter in, and that's called a ball. Now you're in a difficult spot. It's 2-0 on the most dangerous right-handed hitter from a power standpoint in the game, and you have 2 men on. And he pulled the string. 2-0.
But they went to a different spot. They went away from him and down, not inside.
Stanton's hitting just .225 at his home ballpark. And it's 3-1. So Russin, who normally has pretty precise command, is a little bit off here in this first frame. And this is not a count that you'd desire with this man at the plate.
It's also a count where Troy will relay to Nolan, you know, if it is an off-speed pitch, be ready.
Stanton slams it to deep left. It's got carry on it, and it's gone. That was just a line drive that was hit by the biggest, strongest man in the game, and it carried out of the ballpark, and just like that, it is 3-0 Marlins. Well, the walk, and then a 3-1 count.
Can't happen. You can't fall behind to the big power guy like Stanton. Who's the one guy you don't want to beat you if you're coming in here? It's the guy that's leading the major league in home runs and RBIs. I mean, that was a belt high. Whether it was a fastball or cutter, it doesn't matter. It didn't get in. It stayed right over the middle of the plate.
And that baseball right there, Huey, is why we always ooh and ah over Stanton, because most players, that ball's going to fade, and it's going to probably short hop the wall. It's obviously going to be a double. Maybe it hits the wall. He is so strong. That ball just stayed on the same trajectory for 360 feet.
Creates unique backspin. Hitters talk about backspin. I want to create backspin, and that's what that ball was. Not the top spin, backspin, so it continued to ride a further distance.
So Russin behind 1-0 now to Osuna, down 3-0. Nick Hundley went out and visited, and that's nowhere close. It's 2-0. Stanton has 12 hits against left-handed pitching this year. 7 are home runs. Wow. Those are big misses. Osuna, 9th inning home run yesterday to extend that hitting streak to 11 games, and now Russin sending off alarms in the Rockies dugout with a 4-pitch walk after the 3-run home run.
Let's go back to the home run for Stanton. And we're going to freeze it on contact. And coming out of the hand, it is a cut fastball that stays belt high. On contact, it's the sweet spot of the bat. And then I talked about backspin. He doesn't take his top hand and roll it over. He keeps it flat through that zone as he's hitting the baseball, and then that'll carry the ball further instead of getting a top spin lob where it would hit the top of the wall or the bottom of the fence.
As you like to say, see how connected he was on the backside.
Right. Palm up, palm down. Even when he made contact with that, he still had his top hand was the palm was up.
4 straight have reached against Russin. Double walk, home run, walk, and he's missing badly arm side. That's 5 straight as Jeff Baker's in the box. 5 straight that are at least a foot to 2 feet outside.
And Chris starts on the third base side of the rubber and crossfires just a touch. So he's trying to be able to control the outside part of the plate, but he's just leaving his arm behind.
And that's 2 too far in on Baker. 2-1 on Jeff. He drove in a couple of runs against the Rockies last weekend.
Career .299 hitter against lefties. Kept them in the big leagues a long time.
And he'll probably keep him in the big leagues a while longer. Jeff's carved out a nice career. This is on the ground to short. Should be 2. There's 1 and there's 2. But in the inning, safe at first. What happened there? Did Rosario come off the bag?
The throw took him up the line. Looked like he stretched too soon.
Well, that's got to be a double play.
It has to. It's easy. It's a tailor-made. Easy hop. The throw from DJ. Yeah, he came off the bag.
Yeah,
it was part of the throw. Part of it was the throw from DJ. But as a first baseman, you have to work your feet. You know, that did slide too much. I take that back. That's more on the throw of DJ, not Willeen. Because you can see as soon as he threw it, he had dropped the elbow too much.
So Russin's going to have to throw to the catcher, JT Realmuto, to get that third out. Baker at first. 24 pitch inning for a guy that's been averaging about 14 pitches per inning. Jared Saltalamacchia was let go a while ago. And Realmuto is getting a lot of opportunity to catch. Jeff Mathers just came off the disabled list a few days ago.
Jeff caught last night or yesterday afternoon in Toronto.
Marlins, after losing 3 in Toronto, 24-36. They're 12-16 at home. And this is a ground ball toward the middle of the diamond. Tulo's got to go to first, and they're not going to get him. Realmuto, if you're saying, wow, that's a catcher, he's a converted shortstop. He runs well. I'm not saying well for a catcher. He runs well, period. We saw that last weekend in Denver.
He wasn't converted to a catcher until his high school senior year. 4 triples on the year, so that also tells you how fast he is. And he got down the line. He's sniffing a hit. Those aren't catcher's legs or knees.
So now you have Donovan Solano up with 2 on. And there's no error attached to that. We know how good DJ is defensively. And maybe some of it's the inexperience of Willeen at first. But that's a double play that has to be turned at this level.
Definitely. It's about as easy as it gets. A 2-hopper, nice easy feed, and just drop the arm too much and open the shoulders, and the ball sailed on him.
That's pulled down the line, foul.
But you're also saying this next pitch is going to be number 31.
And that's this is a hypothetical. But let's say Russin gets in a groove and starts motoring along. The extra 10 pitches potentially in this inning.
It's almost an inning's worth.
It's almost an inning's worth. One and 2 on Solano. This one should get the Rockies out of the inning. Giancarlo Stanton, a 3-run home run in front of a double and a walk, and the Marlins after one are up 3-0 at Marlins Park.
Home run. We got to show you a couple of roster moves that the Rocks made today. One involving Corey Dickerson, who's back, and he will hit this half inning. So Dickerson comes back. The plantar fasciitis, he's been on the DL. Kyle Parker back with the isotopes. And LaTroy Hawkins is back, the veteran in his last year. Christian Bergman sent down. He will be a starter with Albuquerque. As for Corey Dickerson, he hasn't played since May 18th, but he's ready to go.
I think I tested enough. I mean, I've been down for 3 weeks or so now, and, you know, as good as it's going to get, you know, or whatnot, we'll see, and I'm going to keep trying to test it and, you know, take care of it and do what I got to do.
Drew Jeffries talking about the plantar fasciitis in his left foot. He played in a couple of instructional games. He would play left field, 5 innings in one, 9 in another. He would come in and hit every inning. He hit third every inning. He had 13 ABs, got some hits, got some walks, and what he was able to do was really use that left foot in the field, on the bases, and at the plate. So he hits this inning.
That's every baseball player's dream. You get to hit every inning.
That's the best part about it. You go down there and you lead off every inning.
You're the man.
You do it during spring. Some guys will do it during spring training too, to get a bunch of at-bats strung together.
This ball is hit well to left field, and it is tracked down by Yelich. That's how he won a Gold Glove last year. That ball was smoked off the bat of Arenado.
Well, it helps that Yelich is a 6'4", because he needed every bit of that. Just tells you how big this ballpark is, because Nolan crushed this ball, and Yelich reaches and leaps at the right time before crashing into the wall. And yeah, David, raise your glove to him, because that saved you a double.
So here's Dickerson in his return. Asked him if he was going to be nervous earlier, and he said, I was really nervous for the extended game, because he hadn't been in the box against live pitching in a while.
Well, in some of those extended games, you'll get those young players, these young pitchers that are throwing 100 miles an hour, but not quite sure where it's going. And you got to stand in the box.
No fun.
No, with not quite the same backdrop as you have at a Major League Stadium.
Did you ever have one of those days where you get to go to extended and get a ton of at-bats?
Yes. It was fun. I liked doing it.
Well, bat doesn't linger as long. 1 and 2
doesn't really count against your average.
No. Go 0 for 13 and smile about it after. Maybe not smile about it, but
I just like being around those kids because their energy and their passion.
Sure.
They're just working their tails off.
This is a ground ball to short. He's got as good a transfer, would you say, glove to hand as there is of shortstops in the game at Danny Echeverria.
And footwork's put in a lot of time with their infield coach, Perry Hill, who I had as a coach when I was back with the Texas Rangers in the 90s. There's Perry.
He has a reputation as one of the finest infield instructors in the game.
He does. He was telling me today that Ichiro wants to take him back over to Japan to put some clinics on. And he said coach over there. Perry said, I'm not doing that. I'll do some clinics. I'm not coaching, though. But that just tells you the respect that he has in the game.
Sure. One strike on Willeen. Rosario 3 for 4 with a home run against Phelps. Jim Reynolds is one of those umpires. He will give a description of every pitch, and I think a lot of players appreciate that.
Dugouts appreciate it too, because it's harder to tell from the dugout where a pitch is. You might see it height-wise, but not in and out. But when he says, nope, that's out, or it's high and away, perfect.
That was away 3/4 of a ball outside.
Well, we can hear it all the way up where we are.
Thought that may have been south of the knees, not according to Jim Reynolds. 2-2. Willeen politely suggesting the same thing.
What he'll say is that as low as it's going to go, and that is the subtle way of saying I don't agree with you. Just so you know, I didn't think that was a strike.
Yeah. Three and 2 on Rosario. 2 outs for the Rockies in the second. Nobody on. Down 3-0 on the Stanton 3-run home run. And that is a called strike 3. So David Phelps has pitched well in the first 2 frames. 3-0 Miami. By your hometown Toyota stores, let's go places. Buy Bud Light, stay in the game, and drink responsibly. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. With Jeff Houston and Mark Stout, I'm Drew Goodman. It was nice to be in South Florida. A sparse gathering on a Thursday night.
A little different feel than at Coors Field.
First pitch to Phelps, a foul tip, strike one. Now, Marlins fans were excited when they re-upped, and I want to apologize, by the way, re-upped Giancarlo Stanton, because last weekend I think I was stating that it was a $315 million deal. I shorted him $10 million. And I apologize for that. But they were excited about that. Some of the offseason moves, getting, D. Gordon. There were a lot of positive things surrounding the Marlins. Now, the fan base down here is, I think, understandably cautious because Jeffrey Loria made a number of significant moves a few years ago and then dumped everybody in June. And the disappointing part this year for the Marlins, they got off to an atrocious start. Then they recovered a little bit, and then they made a managerial change, and they find themselves 12 games under 500.
Well, they also had a function after one game that the players were supposed to be a part of, and no players showed up. So that didn't make the fan base happy. Nor should it.
That's a base hit for Echeverria. One out, one on. Martin Prado, who doubled his first time, will take a second look at Chris Russin. Rockies fans, you can join the conversation each and every night. Send us your thoughts, photos via Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Use the hashtag Toyota Talk. And that's outside on Martin Prado. Here's our first tweet of the night. One of my favorite places on earth, Cooperstown, New York. It is, and I've been there many times. It's the fourth time I was there for the tournament at Dreams Park, safe at first. My youngest, Gabe, rite of passage in so many families to play there. It is an absolute joy. What a great event. And the town is, it's known as the most perfect village in America, and it is, man. It is a special place with the Hall of Fame, with the Lake Otsego.
And I'll brag on Gabe since you won't. You texted me a few days ago. He told me he hit a grand slam to center field.
I didn't think the little sucker could hit it that far.
How cool was that?
It was really cool because his brothers had been there and done some good things there, so he didn't have to take a back seat to his brothers.
Finally he can say, hey, I've been there, I've done it.
Here's a 2-0 on Prado, and it's a changeup for a strike. You've been there,
yes,
and it is such a unique place. It's so beautiful. I mean, it's breathtakingly beautiful with the rolling hills, and it's all about baseball. And it's all about that. In the summer, it's all about kids and 12-year-olds playing the game we all love.
And it's surprising how small the town is.
Yep. Runner going, swung on and missed. The throw's not going to get Echeverria. Prado did his best to protect. And it's a stolen base for Echeverria, just his second bag of the year.
Well, and for Nick, he had to throw this like a shortstop coming across the bag when he made the snap throw down to second base. Because he does not have a chance to come up and gun it by his ear. So that was just a quick sidearm fling to second base.
2-2 on Prado with one out. And Prado hits one to the right side. Two gone. And that'll bring up Yelich. I thought this was the key at bat last inning, Jeff. He walks Yelich. Yelich is having a tough year offensively. He hasn't hit with guys on base, and it was a 5-pitch walk, and quite honestly, maybe it was a 6-pitch walk, but quite honestly, the 3-2 pitch, that's what it was, wasn't anywhere close.
I agree 100%, because if you get him out, then you have a choice. Do you walk Stanton, or you might just pitch him completely different than what you did? But after walking the left-hander, you're sitting there thinking, man, I just gave that one away, and then fall behind the Stanton 3-1, serve it up, and it's 3-0.
Yep. 1-0 on Yelich. All pitchers need command. We use that term all the time. But if you're not a guy that has overwhelming stuff, and the same would be said for a guy like David Hale, you got to be able to locate your pitches. That's line down the right field line. It's 4-0 as Echeverria trots home. This is triples territory. And it'll easily be a triple for Christian Yelich. Just his 13th RBI of the year and his first triple of the season.
Well, we said it about Giancarlo Stanton, and now about Christian Yelich. I don't care how bad things are going for you offensively, you get ahead in the count, your confidence goes up. And for Yelich, that's an easy pitch because you're thinking inside when you're ahead in the count. It was supposed to be away, it wasn't. He hits it down in the corner, picking up his third base coach Lenny Harris. And long strides into third base.
Stanton gets a changeup and is out in front. It's 0-1. So he said he has 12 hits against left-handed pitching this year. 7 are home runs.
Again, the home run in the first inning. Stanton knew it. Guys in the dugout knew it.
Here's that thing going with Lenny Harris.
Was
where
it
he
a
takes
football?
Yeah, I guess so. He takes a handoff. 0-2 on Stanton. They set up away, and this is slowly hit. This could be a tough play. You got to hope it goes foul.
Oh.
Got to be kidding me.
Stays right on the line. We used to see that when the lines were actually made of chalk, not painted on there. Because the chalk would almost act like a little dam, so the ball would hit that chalk and then go back into fair territory. But since they're painted now, you don't have that same effect.
Well, Stanton's a big man, but he runs well. This is your only choice. You're not going to get him.
Right. That was the smart play from Nick and from Chris to see if it would roll foul when that swing goes. The ball is spinning towards the foul line, but it didn't.
That's the old good pitch, bad result. It's 5-0 Miami now. 4 ribbies for Stanton. Yeah, you know what? It hit that chalk and the painted line. It went back fair for a moment. Fastball is a strike on Osuna. Second time this year Stanton has driven in 4 in a game. He did it in Atlanta back in April. And that's a base hit for Osuna. Stanton's going to stop at second. And that's a 12-game hitting streak for Marcell Osuna.
His career high is 16.
With every challenge call, the Subaru Eyesight Review will determine the outcome. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. This is not how you want to start a road trip down 5-0 in the second inning.
Well, and remember, Mark did a hit about it in the top half of this inning. They just sent Christian Bergman out, so your long guy is going back down to AAA so he can stretch out and stay and be ready in case you need him in the rotation. So you don't have a long guy per se now.
The 3 guys that can throw multiple innings would be Christian Friedrich, Tommy Kahnle, and Brooks Brown. And hopefully you don't get to that point. Hopefully Russin's able to settle in and put his foot down, give the Rockies an opportunity to chip away. 5-0 they trail. They've been out hit 7-1. We've got a dangerous guy at the plate in Jeff Baker. And it's 1-0 on Baker, the former Clemson star. Started on the left side of that infield with Khalil Green, a name we haven't mentioned in a while. Khalil, a fine player with the Padres. Great story. When they were at a tournament in Las Vegas, Baker was the shortstop, Green was the third baseman. And about 2 games into that tournament, fairly early in the season, they said, you know, let's flip this thing around. And neither looked back. Baker stayed at third, became an All-American. Green became an All-American at shortstop. And when they got to Pro Ball, that was their spots. Jeff since moved to the outfield, plays first base.
Yeah, he's a super utility guy now.
Baker plays second also. 1-2. And that's sharply hit. Tulo's got it. Nice play. And he'll flip to the bag. LeMahieu tags it. And that ends the inning. But 2 more runs for the Marlins. They're up 5-0 at home as we go to the third. Miami up 5-0. Scenes from South Beach. We go to the third. Who wants tacos? If the Rockies score 7 or more, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6. Get your Rockies taco special. Live Moss at Taco Bell. There's a Rockies fan.
Is that a Minnesota Gopher shirt on that he's wearing?
I think that's why.
I think Tavis is very happy right now. Tavis Strander.
He got on the air primarily because he had a Rockies hat on, but the secondary reason is our producer is a U of M graduate. Allegedly.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the paperwork yet.
Nick Hundley at the plate. Nick, then Chris Russin in the top of the order. Hitting an even 300 on the season. Phelps the luxury of being able to pound the strike zone. Up 5-0.
He just looks like a different pitcher than the one the Rockies faced last week.
Well, any kind of competitor is going to make an adjustment. And when you get your tail kicked, you're going to make an adjustment. That happened to Phelps last week. And it happened to Stanton. Russin embarrassed him, struck him out 4 times. And I know Stanton's last hit went about 28 feet, but the first one went a long way. Ooh, that is off his hand, and he winced a little bit. Echeverria still gets the out on Hundley. And they're going to have to come out, I bet, and check on Phelps.
He said, waving him back, saying, no, I'm fine. But I think that's just being a little macho. Because that had to have hurt.
Prado's checking on him.
Right back up the middle, and It's a natural reaction for anybody to reach for it. But Echeverria, he comes in and barehands it and then becomes a Superman as he lets go of the ball. Nick getting down the line. Reaches off the fingertips. Why does Echeverria, after he lets go of this, he's flying and ends up facing towards the Marlins dugout.
He's a tremendous defender. Russin hits it on the ground to second.
I guess there was no ill effect from that pitch and the ball going off his hand. His first pitch, he's in the zone.
Rockies have had one base runner. DJ in the first inning had a base hit. And since then, 7 straight retired by David Phelps. Charlie Blackmon bounced to short. He'll get his second opportunity. Charlie's hit 9 of his last 10. He has an 8-game hitting streak going. Rockies have a multitude of players with hitting streaks.
Charlie, Troy, Cargo. This goes on and on.
Yeah, Troy's hitting 9 straight. Charlie and Cargo 8 straight. DJ's hitting 6 straight with the base hit earlier. That was going to be an automatic take for Blackmon after the quick out by Russin. Good news is there's all kinds of time left in this game. This ballpark, every time I come here, and I like coming here.
I do too.
But it's an assault on the senses. Not so much now that the game's going on, as much on the from an audio standpoint, because during batting practice you can barely hear yourself if you were to have a conversation with oneself, because the music is so loud. We were kidding Walt. That's strike 3 on Charlie. He's not happy about it. But you could almost you couldn't hear Walt during his press conference in the dugout today. 5-0 Miami. Donovan Solano and David Phelps to face Chris Russin. Rockies will play 4 games here in South Florida. Then they'll go to Houston. It's a Texas 2-step. They'll play 2 in Houston and then 2 at home against Houston. I think all of baseball's doing that next week, or most of baseball.
Yeah, I think the Marlins are doing that with the Yankees.
Yep, they'll have 2 here and then 2 in the Bronx. And a breaking ball for a strike. Rare curveball from Russin. Strike 1 on JT Realmuto, who had a base hit of the infield variety his first time up out of Midwest City, Oklahoma. Last year, the Marlins minor league player of the year.
And he talked about his speed. He was a shortstop in high school, and they needed him to go back behind the plate because they were taking the catcher. He was going to pitch, and so they put him behind the plate. The scout says, I like him there. That's how they drafted him.
DJ throws him out. One gone.
Fans, all of you through the gates on Friday, June 19th, to receive a 2015 Rockies team poster as well as a Topps mini pack of baseball cards courtesy of Topps. Team poster Rockies giveaway day, June 19th against the Brewers.
Get a picture with Cinco on it, huh?
Yes.
Solano, a ground ball to short, his initial at bat.
Back to back. First pitch curveballs.
So we were talking about Cooperstown, and there's so many great artifacts in the Hall of Fame. In fact, they only put out about 10% of what they have, just from a room standpoint. This is going to be tracked down by Carlos. Oh, he dropped the baseball. I've never seen him drop a ball.
It'll go down as an error. Third one of the season on Carlos. Yeah, I can't remember him ever dropping a ball. Oh, Charlie's coming hard out of the corner of his eye, but he sticks up his glove saying, I got it. Just kind of nonchalant, goes out of his glove.
Yeah, I don't think he was distracted.
No, it went off the outside pinky portion.
Well, I was about to tell you some of the artifacts they have. They have lockers from every team. And some interesting, artifacts in there, if you will. And for the Rockies, one of the things they had, now it reminds me, is Cargo's glove. It's a Nike glove, and it's different. You've picked it up before. It's really, really light, and it's the glove that he wore last year. It's the same model as he's wearing right now. It's a super light material. This is slowly hit. Russin, for a moment, thought he may have a play on Solano. He gets the out. There's two gone. They have the bat used by Todd Helton to hit his final home run as a Rocky. I thought that was kind of neat.
Yes.
And in true Todd Helton form, knowing how superstitious he is, do you think it's a Todd Helton model?
No.
Of course not. Three guesses whose bat it is. Originally, Todd used it, but
Tulo?
Not Tulo.
Cargo.
Not Cargo. You're in the right neighborhood in the lineup. This ball sharply hit. Tulo, jump throw. Out at first base. What a play. Michael Kadire.
Kadire, okay.
Michael Kadire's bat. That's what Todd used to hit his final home run in a Rockies uniform. Quite a play by Tulo to end the inning. It's 5-0 Marlins. They may take a look at it.
Well, they called it off. It is a good play by Troy. The jump throw, foot on the bag, ball in the glove. He's out.
Well done.
Off for the Rockies is DJ LeMahieu. His first AB, he gets a hit. His 72nd of this year. He has been on fire. We thought about second baseman, most hits in a single season in Rockies history. Top of the list, Eric Young back in '96. 184 hits, and then it goes down from there. You see Lansing, Miles, EY again. DJ last year with 128. This time last year, guys, he had 50 total hits, was hitting .281. He's now at 72. And, Jeff, you like this. I said, what's the most hits you ever had in a season? He said right away, 2010, Daytona with the Cubs, had 174 in 135 games.
That's a bunch of hits.
Yeah, and I know you played there, too.
Yeah, playing in Jackie Robinson Stadium in Daytona Beach in the Florida State League.
One of the historic stadiums in the Southeast. Breaking ball for a strike. It's 1-1 on DJ. Tulowitzki Gonzalez to follow. Be a nice opportunity here. Second time through to put something on the board. Get the Rockies back involved in this game. Down 5-0. They've been out hit 7-1. This ball sharply hit, but on one hop, Solano has it. There is one out. Here's something else. You saw Eric Young's name on that graphic Mark was discussing with all of you. Eric Young's got something in the Hall of Fame. EY's pants, which were ripped up after he stole 6 bases in a game. I think it was against the Dodgers. I'm looking at Doug. It was against the Dodgers, which is a major league record. 6 bags in one game, and EY's pants are in the Hall of Fame.
But I like that, though, that every club is represented with the locker and some artifacts that have significance to that franchise.
Yep. Kelton's jersey from Game 1 of the World Series is in there. Boy, if you ever get a chance, make your way to Cooperstown in the Hall of Fame. Going to be a great class this summer. Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, John Smoltz, Craig Biggio. 2 balls and a strike.
I said it yesterday, and I know you saw, but Biggio's son was drafted. Connor
out of Notre Dame.
Out of Notre Dame. Drafted by the Astros.
A lot of sons of. Rockies, as many of you probably know, took Phil Nevin's son early. On the corner, 2-2. Phelps with real good location so far in this ball game. Troy hit .464 on the homestand. 3 home runs, drove in 12. At first glance, you look at that homestand, you say 5-5. The Rockies have really struggled at home. That's a fact. The only disappointing part was losing 2 of 3 to Miami. You split the 4-game set with the Dodgers, the craziness of that one loss they had, and the next day they steal one from the Dodgers, and then you take 2 of 3 from the Cards. A team that's as good as any in baseball once again. So the Rockies got on the plane late last night. Didn't get here, by the way, till about 1:30 in the morning. And it was, even though there was a loss yesterday, it was a confident group that took the field tonight here in South Florida.
Yes, it was. I mean, even getting on the plane, it was, they were down because they lost. They had a chance to sweep the Cardinals, but they knew that they took 2 or 3 from them.
And Troy with another base hit. He's got a 10-game hitting streak now. And that ends a run of 9 straight set down by Phelps. Second hit for the Rockies. Well, the University of Oklahoma had 11 players selected. George Frazier's alma mater, the most in the draft, followed by, how about Santa Barbara? Spilly still celebrating. ASU had 9, Florida 9, Illinois 9, Vanderbilt 9. The surprise there for me is Illinois.
But it goes back to having that one stud, that one person that all the scouts are coming to watch. And for the pitcher for Illinois, Jay, So all of a sudden you get all these scouts coming in and they start to see this guy. Oh, I like him, and I'll turn him in and I'll do this. So it all works together.
2 outs. Osuna makes the catch. And that'll bring up Nolan. Nolan had a drive to the wall and was robbed of probably a double by Christian Yelich, who made a leaping catch out there.
Nolan's dad made the trek all the way from California.
Well, a lot of families are here. Cargo, mom and dad are in, his sister's in. He's got a whole lot of folks at this series in Miami.
I was talking to Fernando today, Nolan's dad. He said there's about 30 or 40 little family members. He's had some aunts and nephews here.
Well, anybody who grew up in the Southeast, this is an easy place, relatively speaking, to get to. This is on the ground is short. And Phelps is retired Arenado. He gives up the hit to Tulowitzki. That's it. He cruises through the top of the 4th inning. It's 5-0 Fish.
Jack Link's Beef Jerky presents.
We go tied at 4. Solarte up. He'd single one to right. That brings in Corey Spangenberg and Melvin Upton Jr., who came off the disabled list a few days ago. Padres go on to win 6-4 in 11 innings. Some bad blood brewing between these two teams, Drew and Jeff.
And it's interesting because they don't see each other that much. I mean, they play each other twice a year. The Padres with that victory get back to 500 at 31-31. They're 15-15 at home. Huey, they're 16-16 on the road after that extra inning win in Atlanta. Martin Prado, Christian Yelich, and Giancarlo Stanton. Prado 1 for 2. He doubled and scored in the first. Change up at the knees for a strike. 2-1. One of the differences for Russin tonight, Jeff, is that he has unfortunately fallen behind more hitters than he's gotten ahead of initially.
Yeah, you don't want to come in and 10 of 16 first pitch strikes. The last couple innings he's been better than the first two.
One out, and that'll bring up Yelich, who has walked and tripled. He's scored 2 runs. He's driven 1 in.
Speaking of the draft, Christian's brother was drafted yesterday. He's out of Sam Houston State.
That's interesting because he's a Southern California kid. Sam Houston, you think, stockpiled with Texas kids. First 2 years in the league, he hit 285. He's down in the 220s right now. He made his debut against the Rockies, if you recall.
That is correct. Let's see what the issue is. Jim Reynolds just kind of walked around and made sure that Nick was okay.
He looks all right.
Yeah, fine.
2-1 on Yelich. See in the background that Marlins already promoting, obviously, that they'll have the All-Star game in a couple of years. Ground ball right at DJ.
We can take a behind-the-scenes tour of Coors Field. Group and individual tickets are available year-round. Call 303-ROCKIES and go behind the scenes. Available Monday through Saturday. Coors Field Tours.
Chad Bettis and Jorge De La Rosa. Jorge won a couple days ago, pitched well. Tied Aaron Cook for the all-time mark for victories in a Rockies uniform with 72. Congrats to De La. 1-0 on Stanton. 3-run home run his first time up, and then a dribbler up the line that stayed fair and drove in a run. So he's 2 for 2. Good Giancarlo Stanton. Hitting fourth tonight. Yesterday was the first time he hit fourth all year. He's been hitting third. Dan Jennings trying to shake up the lineup a little bit. It did not work yesterday. Again, in that the Marlins lost 7-2 in Toronto. Tonight, at least so far, it's paid off. And the breaking ball strikes out Giancarlo. So Chris Russin's kind of got himself in a nice little group. Rockies got to figure out David Phelps, however. We'll go to the fifth. Dickerson to lead it off. Recap. 3 runs in the first on a 3-run home run from Giancarlo Stanton, his 22nd of the year. He had a dribbler up the line to drive in a run as well. Marcell Ozuna has a 12-game hitting streak, all the offense on the side of the home team. So the Rockies in the fifth will try to change that around. They have 2 hits, the single by LeMahieu, the single by Tulowitzki last inning. It'll be Dickerson, Rosario, and Hundley against the Notre Dame product David Phelps.
Original draft pick of the New York Yankees, 2008.
Dickerson hit a ground ball to short his first time. First game since May 18th. Quality hack there. Fouls it straight back. The Rockies are on a little road streak where they're hitting the long ball. They've hit multiple home runs in 4 straight road games, which is tied for the longest streak in baseball this year with Seattle, San Francisco, and Washington. And you come into this ballpark and you say, if you can do that here, you're really accomplishing something. Because get this, the Marlins have allowed, in this large ballpark, just 12 home runs from the opposition all year. That is the lowest figure in baseball, just 12 opponent home runs. By contrast, Milwaukee has allowed 52 opposition home runs at Miller Park.
Well, and for the Marlins, they just don't give it up. It's been 45 home games that they have not allowed consecutive home runs.
Or multiple
home runs. Excuse me, not consecutive, multiple.
3-1 on Corey.
So not only is it a big ballpark, even with the roof closed, you still feel that heavy humidity in the air. The ball gets knocked down.
Well, the park can play somewhat similar to Coors Field. The balls will land in front of the outfielders because of how vast the real estate is at Marlins Park. I mean, it goes out pretty significantly in deep right center. We haven't talked about right field all that much. Marlins Park has allowed just 29 home runs. That includes what the Marlins have done here. More road home runs for Stanton, by the way, this year. No surprise that AT&T's on that list. They always are.
It was kind of apropos when we landed here in Miami last night that it was raining sideways and lightning and thunder, and guys were just joking. Oh yeah, we're used to this.
Yeah, it's been the year of the rainstorm thus far. I don't think anybody would argue with that description. 3-2 on Dickerson. He stays spread out, and he fouls this one off. Think there's a pattern there, Jeff?
Yes. I'm not coming inside. If I come inside, it's obviously a mistake.
Called strike 3, and he did come inside, and it surprised Corey. No question that was a strike.
But after all the pitches we showed on the 4 strike zone, you and I talking about it, the last thing Corey thinks is they're going to come inside. They're going to go away. And that just froze him.
Rosario was caught looking his first time up. 4 strikeouts for Phelps. 3 are backward Ks. Rockies lost 3 out of, or went 3 for 4. 3 and 4. How about that against the Marlins last year? And they lost 2 out of 3 in Denver last week. But despite that, they're still hitting .308 against the Marlins since the start of last year.
Only Pittsburgh has a higher batting average against the Marlins.
And that'll be the second out. Easy play for Baker off the end of the bat. Nick Hundley hit the ball sharply his first time up. It was probably the defensive play of the game, or one of them, because Yelich made that great play on Arenado, but hit a ball hard up the middle, and Phelps reached out with his bare hand. Probably wishes he didn't do that. Stung him for a moment, but it redirected, and Echeverria made a barehanded stab and throw in one motion to just get Nick at first. It was quite a play. 1-6-3.
That was destined to be a base hit right back up the box. Well, the pitcher, Phelps, decides to reach back, slows it down, and Echeverria bare hands. And a strong throw to first to get Nick.
Yeah, that was the key. He got a lot on that baseball.
Didn't he? And most of the time when you barehand a ball, you end up getting in a changeup grip, not out onto the fingers where you could throw it hard.
1-1 on Nick. Inside, 2-1. There's a piece in Rockies magazine on Nick, all the different towns he lived in growing up with his dad, a well thought of college football assistant.
Well, you better make friends fast. You better learn how to adapt.
You know, you always hear that with kids of coaches, kids of guys in business that had to move around. Sometimes they're military kids. They're forced to adjust, forced to make friends.
My kids had to do it. I played for 5 different teams in my last 5 years.
You know that drill then?
Yeah. There you go. You go into the family room at the ballpark and got some new friends to make. I always like these pitch probabilities, what's going to be thrown in account, just to see what he actually decides to throw.
He went fastball and he missed. 3-2.
And that was over a 50% probability he would throw that fastball.
And I would think it goes up here.
Oh, you are correct.
He goes fastball again. And that's not only dictated by the count, but in this situation, it's dictated by the score.
And who's hitting and where he is in the lineup, because you have the pitcher up next.
Phelps has allowed just 2 hits as the Rockies hit with 2 outs in the 5th inning. Just missed. Ball 4. So the Rockies have their 3rd base runner. And Chris Russell will swing it. Well, if the Rockies, now with Jordan Lyles out for the year, ever have to use a pinch hitter from the pitching ranks, I elect this guy. How many pitchers have a toe tap?
Not many. I'm just trying to go back into the archives to remember, and I can't think of anybody else.
It takes a lot of practice.
Well, and
Jeff,
he just looks like a hitter, so it's not going to work out. But tell he's got an idea at the plate.
Yep. Middle of 5. It is 5-0 Miami. Oh,
why don't you go get that for us, too?
You know how big a sushi fan I am. Is brought to you by the Ford Focus. Big MPGs and fun to drive. Ford, go further. By Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Marlins 5, Rockies nothing. And it'll be Chris Rusin against Marcell Ozuna in the bottom of the 5th inning. Ozuna's been on twice, a walk and a single. He's now got a 12-game hitting streak. Turned into a pretty Miami evening other than the scoreboard. Rusin has pitched better the last couple of innings. Gave up 3 in the first, 2 in the second. But he's had much better command the last 2 innings.
You hope to sneak a couple more innings out of Chris. 76 pitches. His career high is 99 his last outing. But he just hit last inning, so he gets some quick and efficient innings. You get him into the, at least going into the 7th.
Well, he had quick and efficient innings in the 3rd and 4th. He threw just 9 pitches in the 3rd. That was despite the drop fly ball in the gap by Cargo. Had to face an extra hitter. 2 strikes on Ozuna. He's raised his average well over 20 points the last couple of weeks with that hitting streak. Slider on the back foot. He didn't offer at it. It's 1-2. Cargo deep right field, reaches up and makes the grab and then flies into the fence. Nicely done. Ozuna thought he hit it over his head. Good play by Cargo.
Real good play. Make up for that drop fly ball in right center field. This one a much more difficult play for him. Goes and reaches and times his jump perfectly. Chris applauding him. Cargo went back, and those are the ones when you're reaching back across your body when you're trying to time it right.
At the knees on Baker, 0-1.
If it's his glove side, it's an easier play, but across the body, you'll start to lose sight of it as the ball travels behind your arm.
Boy, you know what? That thing wasn't that foul. Jeff turned his back to go get another bat because he broke the bat, and I thought it's in the stands. I think Bake thought it was in the stands.
Is that 2 feet, maybe 3 feet?
I mean, it was definitely foul, but wasn't it closer than you thought?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be 2 or 3 rows up in the stands.
Yeah, I mean, it's 3 feet. With an Expo logo. Must be a Jeff Houston fan. Here's the 0-2.
Expos of Montreal. They do well in a couple exhibition games this year.
And have seen great attendance at those exhibition games. This ball's hit a ton to left center field. Jeff Baker with his 3rd home run of the year. He got a hanging breaking ball, and that is what he does. He hits left-handed pitching. You hit it out where he hit it out. That's a long way.
Well, it's 387 just to the left as we're looking at it where that ball went, and then add another 15, 17 feet behind it. And he went down and got it. So after breaking his bat on the foul ball, gets a new piece of lumber. It had a loud crack.
JT Realmuto, an infield hit and a ground ball to second. And the fastball tails off the plate. Real Muto hitting all of 169 at home. He's actually hitting very solid 290 out on the road.
I think it just gets in some of the hitters' heads, like Petco would. The fences being so deep, that you try to generate more power.
The one guy I don't think cares about it is Stanton.
No, because he could hit it out of the Grand Canyon. It doesn't matter how big the park is for him, but for mere mortals it does.
Most obvious example that I remember is when Petco opened and Ryan Klesko and Phil Nevin were there, and they absolutely hated it because it was just so hard to hit balls out like they did at Qualcomm. Here's stretch double by Real Muto. Again, you see that speed. Put it in air quotes, a catcher running, but he's a fast guy, and he gets a double on that ball to left that was cut off by Dickerson, and Corey did everything he could. It was just a little too much speed from Real Muto.
And he cut the bag correctly. Running hard out of the box. Corey cuts over, gets behind it, tries to get some momentum as he goes, maybe an extra step, but Real Muto hits the bag with his right foot and then drives the left shoulder towards second base. Well, fans, you can watch every out-of-market game live in HD on more than 400 devices with MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch trackings, and more every night on every device.
Donovan Solano will take his turn. And a changeup at the knees for a strike. 6-0 Miami. Will lean, hoping for a play, and he would have had one. I think he went and found the fence, Jeff, and then it came back a little further than he thought.
Misjudged it. Some of the inexperience at first. But he was trying to find the fence, but then didn't get back far enough. And had to reach back over his shoulder. Going to go down as no play, meaning that the official score did not rule an error on the play.
Solano works underneath at right center field. Cargo will have it. Second out, and that'll bring up David Phelps. Phelps is grounded out twice. The tables on the Rockies. He got beat up, lasted just 3 2/3, gave up 9 runs on 11 hits last Saturday, and he's thrown a 2-hit shutout so far in this game.
It's kind of the opposite of how Chris threw and what's happening tonight. Chris threw well at Coors Field. Hadn't allowed a home run in his first 3 appearances, 18 2/3, and then gives up 2 today.
And Phelps rolls at second. LeMahieu to Rosario, and that'll end the inning, but Jeff Baker tacks another run on for the Marlins with a home run to left center, his 3rd of the year. 6-0 Miami. In South Beach. We're about 20 minutes or so from South Beach. Miami ahead of the Rockies 6-0 with Jeff Houston. I'm Drew Goodman. Mark Stout along as well. In the top of the 6th inning, the Rockies will have the top of the order. Third time through the lineup against David Phelps. His third career start against the Rockies. The first two was all Rockies, but tonight he's located his fastball primarily very, very well, Jeff.
And that's been the key for him because he's gone out tonight 13 of 18 first pitch strikes. He's got 8 ground ball outs, just 3 flyouts, 4 strikeouts, 71 pitches. So this is a different cat than we saw Saturday back in Denver. The Marlins coaching staff went over a little bit of an overhaul when they fired Mike Redmond. Dan Jennings, the former GM, took over. They also replaced the third base coach, Brett Butler, with Lenny Harris. Mike Goff moved into the bench role. The other guys still the same: Perry Hill, Chuck Hernandez, Reed Cornelius.
And Brett Butler's still with him. He's
Yes.
still in uniform. He's working with the outfielders.
Outfielders and base running and bunting.
And he was an extraordinary bunter. Blackman's 0 for 2. Rockies have had 3 base runners. They've not touched second base in the game. Mike Redmond was let go after 38 games. Curveball, and this is pulled foul. And since Dan Jennings took over, the Marlins are 8-14. And if they were looking for a bounce, there really hasn't been one. They're scoring fewer runs. Their ERA's gone up slightly.
Well, it's a different thing for Dan because you think you know the players as a GM. You try to figure out, but when you're in that locker room, and he told me this today, it was completely different for him, trying to figure out day after day, what are these guys like, the routine, everything.
Charlie Blackmon, there must be something for the Rockies tonight with Phelps. They're not picking up the baseball. That is the 5th strikeout, and only one of the strikeouts was swinging, and that was Cargo. And if you recall, he tried to hold up.
Half swing. And 2 for Charlie that he's taken for strike 3. The last 2 back in the 3rd, now here in the 6th.
LeMahieu had a base hit. He has a 6-game hitting streak going. That was in the 1st. And even that's a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, and yet the swing made it look like it was 96.
And this is a good backdrop, hitter's eye at Marlins Park. We got some black and green behind. That art sculpture doesn't come into play. So there's nothing back there to make it seem like when you're standing in the box that it's going to be hard to pick up the baseball. There must be extra movement or life or cut, something today for Phelps.
Phelps, a 14th round pick in 2008 out of Notre Dame by the Yankees.
440th pick in that draft.
And DJ hits this well to center field, but you have to hit it a mile to get it out.
That's out of Coors Field.
That would flirt with a home run at Coors Field. That was hit about 410 feet. You had altitude, you're probably right. That's probably a trot around the bases. The day after every Rockies victory, get 50% off your online order at Papa John's. The promo code's RocksWin at papajohns.com. Tulo, a career .310 hitter in June. So far this June, he's hitting .467. He has a base hit tonight. See the forward strike zone. That's been the story of the evening for Phelps, man. He has hit the outside corner on the black consistently, and then he comes inside. That was a quality pitch. He stayed out of that middle third of the plate.
Well, of the 82 pitches, he's thrown 54 for strikes, just 28 balls.
Say that again. He's thrown only 54 pitches.
No, 82 pitches.
82.
54 for strikes.
I thought you said 54. I was like, what?
No.
That's crazy.
54
It
strikes.
feels like it, though, doesn't it?
Well, that's how often he's been ahead tonight.
It's an easy play. And a 1-2-3, sixth inning for Phelps. Looks like a different guy than the Rockies faced last Saturday. 6-0 Marlins.
As the Rockies taking on the Marlins and trailing big time here. I want to go back to this day in baseball history, June 11th, 1990. Jeff Houston, you were there because Nolan Ryan was on the hill for the Texas Rangers in Oakland. His sixth career no-hitter. Willie Randolph makes the final out. The final three was Ken Phelps, Ricky Henderson, Willie Randolph. Walt Weiss was in that game. Actually drew one of the two walks that Nolan gave up. Nolan struck out 14. And he did that, Drew and Jeff, at the age of 43.
And just coming off the DL, Mark, from a bad back.
And I want to give the second star that night. The first star had to go to Nolan.
Yeah, we'll give it to him.
But I'm going to give my partner the second star. 1 for 3 and a walk, on base a couple times, 3 assists and a put out, and you also got an out in that final inning. Here's a bunt attempt that's fair. You know what? Nolan tried to trick the home plate umpire, Jim Reynolds. There's something about that line.
Yeah.
It works back fair.
The line must be tilted.
Bunt single for Echeverria.
And this is what you're taught. Taught fair or foul when you're bunting early. So that's exactly what he does. Oh, you know what it kicked off of? Remember that spike mark earlier? Watch this go off the spike mark right there and kick back fair. That was a spike mark from the swinging bunt from Stanton back in the second inning.
So the Marlins have 2 hits in virtually the same spot. So the leadoff bunt single for Echeverria. Martin Prado with an 0-1 count. And this is the first one. This is Stanton.
Yeah, you see that spike mark where the ball ended. Now you'll see it affect the ball again right now.
Takes a lot of talent to hit that spike mark twice.
You couldn't roll it out there 10 times and hit it and make it do that maybe twice.
Crazy. I'll tell you what's crazy. Doug just handed me a note That's the first leadoff man to reach for either team. Now the Marlins, you think, well, probably they've had leadoff guy on, right? They're up 6-0. They have 10 hits. No, that's the first leadoff guy for either team to reach tonight. Tommy Kahnle worked yesterday. Rockies, if you missed it, do have LaTroy Hawkins back in play. Christian Bergman was sent out. Kyle Parker, who was up for about 36 hours, was sent back to make room for Corey Dickerson.
In those 36 hours, he got a hit yesterday, pinch hitting.
Kyle's had a real strong last 5-6 weeks down in Albuquerque. John Gray, by the way, going tonight for the Topes.
Albuquerque was off yesterday.
Christian Yelich, his work tonight. Here's some notes on some notable minor leaguers. Now, Rex Brothers has been a long-time big leaguer. Rex is in a good place. 5 2/3 scoreless innings, last 6 appearances. Trevor Story, 8 home runs. He hit one again yesterday. 302 average with AA New Britain. And John Gray, 2-1, 171 over his last 4 starts. And you can go back even further. His last 7 starts, 3-2, but a 2.76 ERA. And you remember, he had an ERA over 10 initially.
Yeah, and it stayed high for almost the first month of the season. Good for John Gray. His velocity's up again. And good for Rex. I mean, he was in a dark place, just having trouble throwing strikes. But that's what you have to do. You just have to keep persevering and working hard. Good things will happen.
1-0 on Yelich, and a check on Echeverria, who stole a base back in the second.
Our own Charlie Felix just came back from New Britain. He flew in today.
Charlie giving us the lowdown on the Rockcats, who have played so well this year.
First place in the Eastern League in the Eastern Division. They're 35-23.
The first month of the season, I don't think they lost. Looked like they were trying to go undefeated. Pretty close.
Long winning streak, or one of 20 out of 23 or some crazy number.
Way inside, and it's 3-0.
He's had trouble locating to Yelich tonight.
He's had trouble all night locating arm side. 102 pitches, and that's now a career high. Most he'd ever thrown in a game was 99. That was in his last start. Steve Foster and Walt Weiss love to get him through this 6th inning. Jim Reynolds is a lot like our partner George Frazier. You can hear him 3 counties away. He yelled time. Three guys dropped their beer in the second deck.
The hot dog vendor stopped.
Athens.
Trying to see what type of manager Dan Jennings is on a 3-2 count with Stanton on deck. Does he start the runner?
He does. And this is looped to left for a base hit. Well, now you have a decision if you're Walt. Do you have Russin, who other than the 3-run home run has actually pitched well against Stanton? Struck him out. He had the dribbler, of course, up the line. Struck him out 4 times in the last game. Or do you say that's enough bullets for one night and we'll go with Tommy Kahnle? And there's your answer. He's going to have Kahnle come in, go power on power. The upper 90s fastball against Giancarlo Stanton with 2 on. And 1 out in the 6th inning. So we will break. The Marlins have been in control since the 1st inning. High quality command this evening, and he's gone after 5 1/3. He threw a career best 105 pitches, 11 hits in 5 1/3. He walked a couple, struck out just 1. Stanton coming up. Tonight's T-Mobile Game Changer brought to you by T-Mobile, and it happened in the 1st inning. 2 men aboard and a 3-1 count. He got a cutter that was out over the plate. Stanton swatted it like only he can. 3-run home run for Giancarlo, his 22nd of the year, and the Marlins had a quick 3-0 lead. RBI leader in baseball with 54. So Tommy Kahnle on for his 6th appearance. He's done a good job with righties so far.
Yesterday, Tommy came in 1 inning, gave up a couple of hits, a walk, a strikeout. You're right, a 111 batting average. That 1 home run, though, was given up just yesterday against Grichuk. Now, if you notice that Stanton has that guard on his helmet and face now because there's a right-handed pitcher out on the hill. He doesn't wear it when he's facing a left-hander. Pretty horrific last year when he was hit in the face.
You know, for those that are wondering, you know, has it had a lingering effect? The batting average is down. Well, the batting average is down, but the power numbers are what you'd expect. The RBIs are what you'd expect. He has swung and missed at a higher percentage this year, 32.7% last year, above 37% this year.
Yeah, but I think if there was any lingering effect, he wouldn't be the leader in home runs or leader in RBIs.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. Here's the 0-2. And that was a dirty fastball. That thing had cut on it at 97. Who could hit that?
Not when you're ahead in the count, 0-2. You want the You want the ball away. Maybe if the bat was 42 inches instead of 34, you would reach that.
I forget the umpire. He's long since retired, but he was working back when Frazier was playing.
I can tell you who it was, and I know where you're going. It was a Hall of Fame pitch.
That's right.
Durwood Merrill.
It was Durwood Merrill. He said, "Where's that pitch go?" Son, that's a Hall of Fame pitch. Well, guess what? That pitch that Canley just threw was a Hall of Fame pitch.
Good old Durwood.
Marcell Ozuna. 1 for 2 and a walk. Cargo robbed him of probably a double, if not a triple, his last time up. Attendance announced just 18,003 at Marlins Park tonight. Rockies have been held to 2 singles. 6 runs, 11 hits for Miami. Canley coming right after Ozuna. That was at 95. Ozuna's kind of an under the radar, pretty good player. He's a good center fielder. Last year he hit for more pop than Marlins fans have seen this year, but he's, you know, around 290. One, two, and here's that hard fastball with some cut on it to strike out Ozuna. So Tommy Canley does a nice job striking out Stanton and Ozuna, but it's 6-0 still Miami. Well, the Rockies with work to do as we go to the 7th inning. Miami up 6-0. It's time to check the big hits presented by Mako. Turn the car you drive into the car you love. This game against the St. Louis Cardinals, and it was huge. High fastball, and Arenado drove it out of the ballpark as the Rockies would win that ball game. Took the first 2 in that 3-game set against the Cardinals. Nolan leading the club with 15 home runs, leading the club with 47 RBIs. He's on deck. Cargo, a strikeout and a fly ball to shallow center field against David Phelps. 3 on the right side. And this ball in the air to right, coming on off the end of the bat, grabbing it is Stanton. 1 out. Here's the group that have a better than 300 average, 10 home runs on the road this year. It's a small group of guys you've heard of. Nelson Cruz, now with Seattle. What a year he's having. Paul Goldschmidt, 342 average. He's hit 10 out on the road. And Nolan, 301 average, 10 of his home runs out on the road after last year hitting just 2 out on the road. And that fastball on the inside corner. Phelps has done an amazing job. Forget working the inner third and the outer third. He's working the inner black and the outer black, period.
And he had come in with a 5.50 ERA in 5 games, 3 starts here at Marlins Park with a average of .313 with runners in scoring position. I know the Rockies don't have anybody out there, have not had anybody in scoring position, but this just tells you the high numbers that he has. Changing it tonight.
And that's again a ball really off the end of the bat. And an easy play at second for Donovan Solano. Corey Dickerson, a ground ball to short and a strikeout looking. Matt Latos is going to come off the disabled list. He's been battling knee inflammation. He's going to throw on Saturday against the Rocks. And their big ace, Jose Fernandez, is not all that far from returning. He was throwing on the field before the game.
He also hit some on the field before the game.
This ball's pretty well hit left center field. And Osuna is going to bail, and it's going to be grabbed there by Yelich. And the Rockies have touched second base for the first time in the game. It's a 2-out double from Dickerson in his return from the DL.
What were they trying to do his last at bat? Pitch him away, then they came inside. This time they pitch him away again. And finally, he says, I've got you. Hits it for a 6th double in the left center field gap.
He leaned out over the plate and drove that.
Yeah, because you're guessing. You're saying they're going to go back out there again. That fastball was inside to show me you got me, but not this time.
Rosario a strikeout and a ground ball to first. Look where that pitch is located. I mean, you can't run it up and place it any better than that. That's what he's done this entire evening.
He's pitched tonight. And he's hit virtually every spot that he's wanted to.
That's a good pickup by Jeff Baker, and that'll end the inning. And he flips to Phelps. So the Rockies get a double with 2 gone from Corey Dickerson. He's left there. Middle of 7 in Miami. It's all Marlins.
The father's favorites is
Real time. Rockies reliever Adam Ottavino working hard to get back on the mound. It'll take a while, but he's been getting after it after Tommy John surgery. And when Adam isn't getting treatment, he's probably got a camera in his hand to share his love of photography through social media. All that. He also will make an appearance on the Root Sports pre- and post-game show. That's tomorrow after the game on Rockies Real Time. 6-0 Miami as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Jeff Baker, who made that fine play to conclude the top of the 7th, will lead it off at Marlins Park. Indoor stadium necessary for 2 reasons. One, the late afternoon showers that are so typical in the summer, and the oppressive humidity. Baker homered on a slider in the 5th inning against Chris Russin. Chris went 5 1/3, gave up 6 runs on 11 hits. He walked 2, struck out 1. Canely struck out the final 2 hitters of the 6th inning. Now he's working here in the 7th. Here's the home run by Baker.
Quite a blast from Jeff into the left center field stairwell.
Got all these images of the Hall of Fame in my mind. There was a little piece on Home Run Baker, who I think went to the Yankees. I'm looking at Doug Marino very late in his career. He's known as Home Run Baker because back in the dead ball era, he hit some home runs. Baker's gone. And it wasn't really a huge amount. Nobody hit a lot until Babe came along. I mean, you hit 5 or 6, and you were the home run king. So Canley's faced 3, and he struck them all out. JT Realmuto at the plate. 2 hits tonight in 3 at-bats.
What a difference a day makes. Yesterday, Tommy was erratic with his fastball. Today, he's not. And that was a changeup.
I think Home Run Baker hit a couple of World Series home runs, and that got him the nickname. Boy, there's that fastball that he's been throwing that's cutting about 4, 5, 6 inches at the end.
He's had more cut on that tonight than any of his previous appearances, and even going back into last year.
Three and 1. And he loses them.
Coca-Cola value packs are the best deal in town. It's available every value game, including June 17th and 18th against the Houston Astros for either $59 or $79, depending on seat location. So you have your choice, too. On the 17th, it's a night game. On the 18th, it's a day game. You got your choice there, so get a value pack from Coca-Cola.
Donovan Solano 0 for 3. So Home Run Baker hit 96 career home runs. He led the league in 1911 with 11, 1912 with 10, 1913 with 12, 1914 with 9. Fans would wear him out today with that nickname. Kidding me?
How'd you get that nickname?
Was that a self-appointed nickname? Ground ball to third. See if the Rockies can spin one. They'll do exactly that. 5-4-3. Started by Nolan Arenado. So the Marlins done. We're off to the 8th inning. It is 6-0 Miami. Follow @RootSports_RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies Taco Special when the Rockies score 7 or more runs. See anybody you know, Jeff?
I don't. Hold on. No. Thought that was somebody. No, it wasn't.
Just looked like an old
Yes.
friend. There's a lot of that
I was more
here.
up the road, though, at West Palm Beach when I was here with the Expos and spring training.
More family-oriented section of town.
Yes.
There's LaTroy. We haven't seen him since, well, we've seen him, but we haven't seen him on a mound since late April. He's kidding him in the clubhouse today. So that we showed a shot of LaTroy pitching for Salt Lake City 20 years ago, and he was back there on a rehab assignment with Albuquerque, and it looks like the same guy hasn't aged at all.
Preston Wilson said the same thing to him today. Preston works on the pre and post game show for the Marlins. As you see the pop up to Baker, and he was just giving him a hard time. Said, "Are you ever going to retire?" Jokingly, and Troy said, "Yep, this is going to be my last year, of course." And he's back. Like the play on words there, Mark.
Well, while he was rehabbing, he grew the mustache. Daniel Descalso will pinch hit for Canely. One out in the 8th inning. Curveball dropped in there for a strike. I got to look this up. This may very well be the finest hour of David Phelps's career. He's worked 7 1/3 tonight. His career long outing is 7 2/3, and in that outing against Tampa, he gave up 4 runs. I think the quotes you'll hear from Phelps after the ball game will be all about how he had great command, because he certainly has.
Pretty much living and dying by the fastball.
Yes.
We give a handful of off-speed pitches tonight.
And he strikes out Descalso.
On a
That's
fastball.
that's his 6th strikeout of the ball game. Phelps' best career outing prior to this, in terms of quality, not length, but 7 innings, no runs, 3 hits in Philadelphia in April. That's what you were talking about earlier. When he first came out of the bullpen this year and got starting assignments, he gave up 5 runs, I think, in his first 4 games total. He pitched very well. Then he hit a rough patch. Last Saturday was a rough patch for him. The Rockies beat him up, 9 runs, 11 hits, and 3 2/3.
That was kind of the book coming over from the Yankees, because they were toying with it. Is he in the bullpen? Is he, what kind of guy is he? Up. It's just called foul by Manny Gonzalez at first base. But with the Yankees, they tried it back and forth, starting, relieving. They figured out that it was better just to leave him in the bullpen. Over here, they needed the starter.
Two-strike count on Blackmon.
Well, the first 10,000 fans through the gates on Saturday, June 20th, will receive a drink tumbler sponsored by King Soopers.
Just outside, 2-2.
Fans are oohing and awing, but it wasn't close. He tried to backdoor it, swinging around the outside corner.
And that's fouled off.
Well, he hasn't lost any velocity. He didn't have a lot to start with. 90-91. That's the major league average, but that's what he's still sitting on pitch number 101.
That's one of the few pitches he didn't finish tonight. 3-2.
This is where, for Charlie, he just look for one right down the middle, because if I'm Phelps, I'm going to say try to hit it. You got a big lead.
That hit Charlie.
Ooh, the curveball. I am really surprised. You have a 6-0 lead, 2 outs, full count, and you throw a curveball that hits him on the outside of his right knee.
A little surprising. LeMahieu single back in the first. DJ's 1 for 3. He drove one about 410 feet his last time up. That was tracked down by Marcell Osuna in center field. .322 road hitter coming into the ball game tonight for DJ.
So his big average just wasn't piled up at home?
No. And this is going to be another hit for LeMahieu. Blackmon will go first to third. Got Solano moving toward the bag. There was movement. I was kind of surprised by that. Charlie took off.
32 extra opposite field hits. Now watch the second baseman Solano with Charlie. Just in a secondary,
yeah, that was
he just
weird.
got a bad read off the bat. Pitch inside. That's what it was. He just was reacting on where the pitch was and where the swing. He thought he would try to pull that, but DJ's so adept at going the other way, pulled his hands in, hit it that way, and Solano got caught leaning.
Opposite field hits. DJ's now out in front.
Carter Capps, big right-hander, just jumped up when the pitching coach Chuck Hernandez went out to get loose.
So for the first time tonight, the Rockies have 2 men aboard. Tulowitzki singled back in the 4th between short and third. You would think if he doesn't get Tulowitzki, his evening will be done.
One way or the other, his spot is also due up bottom half of the 8th inning.
Troy fouls this one off, out of play down the right field line. With the base hit in the 4th, Tulowitzki now a 10-game hitting streak. Rockies have 3 singles and a double tonight. The double off the bat of Corey Dickerson last inning.
Phelps is starting to become fatigued, trying to overthrow the last 2 pitches. With 109 pitches, his previous season high was 104.
And that misses. It's 3-2. Cargo on deck. Troy hits a high fly ball to left. Yelich will have it, and that ends the inning. The Rockies leave 2 aboard in the 8th inning.
nearly 2 months that LaTroy Hawkins has been on the hill. Of course, this is his final year, and we have some moving parts to show you here about LaTroy. Here's a tweet from Charlie Blackmon from last night, Chuck Nasty. This was on the plane. The beards of the bullpen. LaTroy had that beard, but that's gone. That coming up. Also today, he was asked about how he was able to throw at AAA, and specifically about his velocity. Here's what he said.
I don't know. I don't worry about velocity. I just worry about command. I need to be able to command. Okay, because this league, I don't care how hard you throw, they can hit it. It's where you throw it at. I'm worried about where I'm throwing it at.
That's a classic comment from LaTroy Hawkins. So Drew and Jeff, the mustache deal, as you see him go into the set, John Axford said that he had to keep the mustache on and get on the hill so that he had it documented. So that may be gone after tonight. That's from Axford.
Those guys, good friends from their days in Milwaukee. So Hawk is out there. It's 1-0 on Ichiro. He's pinch hitting for Phelps, and he punches one down that left field line. And in seasons past, he may have tried to stretch that to a double, but Ichiro no longer runs like he used to. A single leading off the bottom of the 8th inning.
But the swing hasn't changed.
No, it hasn't.
No, it's still the same swing that he had over in Japan when he came over here to the United States. Combined between the two leagues, well over 4,000 hits.
Danny Echeverria will step up. Ichiro had a run-scoring triple yesterday in the loss to Toronto. DJ's come out. Daniel Descalso, who pinch hits, stays in. And that's a base hit.
Just looking down on the bench. DJ's sitting on the bench, so I don't think there's anything wrong. Just a double switch.
Here's Prado. And that fastball at 94. So I know he doesn't care about velocity. It's about location. I understand full well what he says, but to me that indicates the arm's healthy, though.
Because before he went on the DL, it was 91, 92. You didn't see many 94s.
Cargo on a sinking line drive. That turned into a more difficult play than it looked. 1 out.
There's DJ. That's a good sign. That you thought anything was wrong, but double switch. Just hope that it wasn't an injury or an illness.
You know, I've asked you this before, and DJ plays virtually every inning. And I said, how much of a difference did it make if in a blowout you didn't play the last couple of innings and you've been playing a lot? You told me that it makes a huge difference.
Even one inning makes a difference on your body. You might not think so, but it does. I mean, I can't really explain why, but maybe it's just a mental break more than anything.
Well located. 2 strikes on Yelich. Strike three right there on the inside corner. So that's the second out as Yelich is fanned by Hawkins.
2 pitches right inside under the hands of Yelich. Get him to jackknife. Strike 3. Well, out in the bullpen, besides Caps, who we saw earlier, Brad Hand, the left-hander, has joined him in the Marlins bullpen.
And a high fly ball to center field by Stanton, and Blackman will have it. And we'll go to the 9th inning. The Marlins up 6-0 at home. Now at Southwest.com. By Mike Shaw Subaru, always our lowest price in sales and service guaranteed. By Jack in the Box, taste the new black pepper cheeseburger today, only at Jack in the Box. And by the Lodge Casino, it's not only your first choice for winning, it's also your first choice for fun. Well, this hasn't been any fun for the Rockies. Game 1 of this 4-game set in South Florida. Marlins up 6-0. The Rockies have been out hit 13-4. As we go back to Denver, our Root Sports studios, here's Jenny.
All right, Drew, thanks so much. Things could be worse. You could be back in Denver with rain. We need an umbrella in the studio. That's how bad it is outside. And the Rockies, they saw a very different David Phelps tonight than they saw last week.
Yeah, a masterful 8 innings pitch with 6 strikeouts. He did a great job locating the baseball, all 4 of his pitches.
All right, we'll get it back out to Miami. We'll see you right after the game.
All right, Jenny, Cargo's going to lead it off in the 9th inning. And the new pitcher's Carter Capps, and he has become more and more involved on the plus side late ball games with Steve Cishek, who was closing, now demoted, trying to work things out in AAA.
Capps, a big guy, 6'5", 220 pounds, but what he does is he throws a hard fastball. 97, 98, will touch 100 miles an hour. That's why he is coming in later into the games. Came over from the Seattle Mariners in the Logan Morrison deal.
Logan Morrison currently has a 16-game hitting streak going, the longest in baseball. And Carter Capps' hardest pitch this year, 101. So here we go. Came in at 98. It's ball 1.
Who used to jump off the mound? House. Craig House.
Craig House did a little bit.
See how he jumps?
It's kind of a herky-jerky, kind of throw off a hitter's timing a little bit as well. Then you back that up with upper 90s fastball.
Rob Nin did just the opposite, where he would toe tap with his front foot before he threw, but Capps comes off and jumps.
Wasn't there somebody who on the opposition side wanted to know, is this legal because he loses contact with the rubber?
Yeah, that should be illegal. I don't see how that's a legal pitch, because he's gaining a foot towards the mound before he even lets go of the ball.
I can't believe physically he's able to do that. The coordination to do that, to hop and still keep the same arm speed.
And when did you think that would be the thing to do?
Okay, what prompted you saying that?
That sounds like a good idea. I think it's an illegal pitch, though.
Well, I mean, everybody's looked at it, and as I said, it came into question. And I guess it's not illegal because it's on full display every time he takes them out. 1 out, and that'll bring up Nolan. So now he's throwing 98, 99 from 59 feet away.
Well, even less than that, because he'll jump the foot and then release the ball, so it's 56 feet.
Yep. Nolan hit it hard, but it's right at Echeverria. 2 outs. Our CenturyLink link to what's next. Tomorrow's starting pitchers. The Rockies will trot out Kyle Kendrick for the 13th time this year, and he'll be opposed by Jose Urena. And Kendrick is coming off a very good performance. So that's the matchup tomorrow, and we're on the air at 4:30 Mountain back home with the pregame show here on Root Sports. Corey Dickerson, the last hope to keep things alive for the Rockies. They've been limited to 4 hits tonight. Corey has the only extra base hit. It was a double to left center field to 7. Well, this guy is unorthodox.
You see it. Many things coming at you. The body first, jumping, and then try to pick up the baseball where it's coming from.
The old line in hitting is when the pitcher goes back, you go back. Well, he goes back and then he hops.
So when do you go back?
When do you go back?
Yeah, I don't have an answer.
That's as funky as I've ever seen.
Yes, it is.
0-2. And it's punched through the left side. So a nice return to the lineup off the DL. Missing in the neighborhood of 3 weeks. And Corey's got a 2-hit evening. He, along with DJ, have 4 of the 5 Rockies hits tonight. That'll bring up Rosario. Willeen a strikeout, 2 groundouts. And then it'll be Ben Paulson will hit. Ben's going to pinch hit. Ben gave the Rockies some life yesterday against the Cardinals with a 2-run home run to left center field. Unfortunately, the Rockies would fall 4-2.
He came into the game when Brandon Barnes had to exit with the sore ankle after that hard slide into second.
John Styles up 99 there. Not going to try to deceive you. It's catch it if you can. 99, 98.
His big broad shoulders like Kyle Farnsworth. Yeah, he would used to be that way.
0-2, and he got him with a slider. They'll have to finish the play at first, and the Marlins take game 1 of this 4-game set. The final score 6-0 as they out-hit the Rockies 13-5. It's only the 3rd shutout for the Rockies all year. Toronto's been shut out once, by the way. The Padres lead baseball. They've been a shutout 10 times, but the Rockies fall to 27-32. And Miami improves to 25-36. Phelps gets the victory. He was dominant tonight. He is 3-3. Chris Russin takes the loss. He is now 2-1. Our Jimmy John's delivery of the game, David Phelps, and deservedly so. 8 shutout innings. He allowed just 4 hits. He walked 1, he struck out 6, and he had tremendous command of his fastball on both sides of the plate. So David Phelps, who the Rockies beat up on Saturday, gets a measure of revenge tonight with 8 terrific innings in the finest performance of his young career. So Phelps gets the victory, and our Jimmy John's delivery of the game as well. That's a wrap from here in Miami, at least in terms of the play on the field. We'll get you in the locker room and plenty of other things, but first we go to center field. Center field. We go all the way back to Colorado and Jenny Cavnar. Jenny, I thought you were in center field.
Yeah, Colorado's a little further than center field there in Miami. Drew, thanks so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Coming up on the Toyota post-game show, we'll talk about Giancarlo Stanton. How fast does that ball go off the bat?
Yeah, and the jet lag the Rockies hitters had today looked a little slow.
Coming up on the Toyota post-game show.
Did you know that